Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Chavaidhyakena Yopakarottam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi. So in the last class, we concluded for the time being our study of the second chapter of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So today, before we commence our study of the third chapter, the Vibhuti-pada, which speaks of the supernatural powers that can develop by the practice of Samyama, means Dhyana, Dharana and Samadhi, on the various parts of the body or on some objective reality. Various powers can develop. So those will be dealt with in the third chapter. But we should remind you from the very beginning that immediately it's not going to start, that the various powers that develop from Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, either on the various parts of the body, the various internal organs of the body, or on some external objective reality. It immediately doesn't start. First few sutras will deal with the definition of dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. As we have already seen, the second chapter has ended with the discussion on pratyahara, that of the 8 limbs of the yoga, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. These are the 5 first practices. These were all discussed in the second chapter. And the third chapter will start with the discussion on the final 3 limbs of the yoga. There's the dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So we have seen that till pratyahara, this speaks of the preparation for the next 3 stages, the dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Pratyahara, in short, we can say that what it is actually. Pratyahara means prati ahara. Ahara in Sanskrit generally we translate as food. But ahara is not to be specified just food alone. Ahara means anything which we are gathering in. We have 5 senses, and that what constitutes our world, our universe. With the eyes we see. So whatever I am gathering in the form of vision is ahara. Whatever I am gathering in the form of sound through my ears, that also is ahara. You are gathering in. Aharate, aryate iti ahara. Whatever you are gathering in. Through this nose, through the smell, whatever I'm gathering in, that is another ahara. Through my tongue, that taste, whatever I'm gathering in, that is again another ahara. And through the touch, whatever I'm gathering is ahara. So constantly, our mind, Swami Vivekananda, in one of the places in Raja Yoga is saying, is like a lake. And these 5 senses are like the 5 apparatus, the 5 holes through which you are constantly pelting stone on the lake called mind. And the mind is, that's how getting agitated. All these 5 perceptions are like pelting stone on the lake called mind. So first we have to stop that. With this mind, with this turbulence, with the turbulent mind, we can never think of focus. We can never think of concentration. First, we have to stop these pelting stones so that the mind is calm. Now, when I do that, we will find that when I try to meditate, I close my eyes, I try to be in a quiet place, no taste, no touch, no sight, no sound, no smell, and I'm sitting quietly. And now I take a resolve let me concentrate my mind. And in a short time, you will find what is happening, that the mind with all its agitation is revolting back. It becomes as if more turbulent. It never gets calm. Swamiji is saying what is happening, that we throughout the day were pelting stone on the lake called mind through the various apparatus of which are namely the five senses. And the mind is already agitated. With that agitated mind, when I sit for meditation, all the waves which I have already created by pelting those stones of perceptions throughout my day has already agitated my mind. That agitation is still going on. Now, to take the resolution, let me meditate, let me focus, is itself another pelting of stone. So what I have to do, when the lake is already agitated, I have to stop pelting stones. What's that? Just sit down quietly and observe the mind. No more pelting stone. Not even take the resolution that I will now focus. Nothing. Just allow the mind that all the ripples which has already been created, it takes time to settle down. You have seen that it always happens that the moment I throw a stone on the lake, the waves that are generated, it takes some time to settle down. And before settling down, if I throw another stone, all these waves will never stop. So first, I have to relax. No more pelting. Even the resolution, let me try to concentrate my mind, is itself like pelting a stone. When I try to meditate, I will have to be just a passenger, not the driver of my mind. I will tell my mind that, yes, now I will be meditating, I am relaxing. You take me, yes, you are the driver, you take me to the destination. When you take a cab, and if you just, after taking the destination, saying the destination, if you don't relax, constantly if you go on dictating the driver, take left, take right, don't take me through this route, take me through that other route, what will happen? In no time, the driver will be offended. He will feel pressurized. He will stop the car and say, sir, if you have to constantly instruct me, better you take another cab. So he will just simply force you down from the cab, because that way he cannot drive. And that's what happens with our mind. We take the drivers, they constantly instructing the mind, stop, do this, do that. That way, in short time, the mind gets tired. It will throw you out of the meditation. So first, that pratyahara is required. Pratyahara means prati ahara. With each and every chance of gathering in, you are quite aware. You are not allowing it. And you don't force it. You say, okay, I'm observing you. I'm seeing you. That's the way when the child is very restless. The mother, instead of scolding by saying, don't do this, don't do that, the mother simply says, well, what are you doing? I'm just observing. And immediately you find the child gets calmed down. When the mother says, I'm just observing, I am seeing what you're doing. So mind is like that restless child. Like a very compassionate mother, you have to say, I'm observing. And it starts calming down. So pratyahara is more like mindfulness, which is required before we go to the focus, any focus. As in the last class, we were indicating with the help of RAIN acronym, that how to calm down the mind, that don't run away from your impulses, from your emotions, from all the feelings which emanate in your mind when you sit down for meditation. Don't run away. Most probably when you were in the office, you had some quarrel with your colleague, and that is agitating your mind. So you find that in the form of anger, it is erupting in your mind. Don't try to run away. Face it, recognize it. Yes, what is that? That's an anger. After recognizing that RAIN acronym, R means recognition, A means acceptance. I accept it. I am not running away from it. I recognize that anger is there, I accept, and then I try to investigate its nature. Any impulse, any feeling, any emotion in your mind, you will find a very wonderful thing. It can never sustain itself only in the present. It has to be constantly nurtured both by the past as well as the future. When I'm angry, constantly I have to think of the cause of my anger. That's in one way. And another way, the mind will be nurturing that anger. I will be planning that such and such person has told me such and such words. Tomorrow, when I get chance, what should I say in reply? Today, I couldn't get proper chance to say anything. Tomorrow, these are the things I will say. I will retort back. So this is the future. These two things, the past and the future, will be fueling your anger. So when you investigate and find that these are the two things which are fueling my anger, then aim stands for negating. I don't allow. My mind is a gatekeeper, where it is I who will decide who all are allowed in and who all are not. Mindfulness doesn't mean that I am just observing. There's a question of allowing some of the desired guests to come in and some who are not invited to not come in. Just Buddha gave that example, that mindfulness doesn't mean just simply observing. And he gave a very funny example, that a rich man, went out for some work, and while going out, he told, take care of my house. Just observe that that if anyone is coming on if there is any intrusion, observe. For observing, I am keeping you. And when this rich man comes back, he finds everything has been plundered. He asks, I have asked you to keep an eye. What happened to you? Haven't you kept an eye? He told, yes, I kept an eye. I saw a man coming. There's a group of plunderers, dacoits coming. They entered the house. They plundered the things. They took away the wealth. I observed minutely. Minutely, I was observing. They took the wealth and went away. I was observing. You asked me to observe. I've observed. So this doesn't mean pratyahara, that you allow the negative thoughts to plunder your mind. That is not pratyahara. Once you have investigated, recognized, investigated, and then have known the nature, you're recognized, accepted, investigated, knows the nature. Now I have to negate. I won't allow this. Let this emotion be with me. You are welcome. Whether it is anger, whether it is lust, you are welcome. I will be observing you, but I won't allow you to be fed by the past and the future. That what happened again and again, to remember that, I will try to stop that. I will try to stop all those anticipations. And then you will find that the anger starts sublimating. It cleanses off. It falls off. That's how you're observing, not getting identified with the anger and allowing the mind to just play the game. You just observe and allow it to calm down. And then the mind, once it has calmed down, now it is ready for the next three practices, the Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So now the focus. I have to take some desired, a particular object, and focus on it. So the first practice after Pratyahara is Dharana. So what is Dharana? The first sloka, the first sutra of the third chapter defines Dharana. Desha bandha chittasya dharana. Desha, in particular space. Desha means place. In a particular space, bandha means enclosed. My mind gets enclosed, encapsulated only in a particular space. Chittasya, the chitta is just focusing, getting streamlined. It is not allowing other things to enter. Just it has taken a focus on a particular object, on a particular space, and that is dharana. Now this dharana consists of holding the mind either in any part of the body. It may be the navel circle. It may be the lotus of the heart. It may be the effulgent center of your head, the sahasrara. It may be the tip of your nose. It can be on the tongue or any part of the body. And when you succeed, particular result will ensue that will be dealt with elaborately in the succeeding sutras of this chapter. And it's not only within the body. It can be on any external object. You can meditate on the sun, on the moon, on any external object. And that again will be leading to particular type of manifestation of powers. So these powers are not supernatural. They follow certain signs. The Yoga Sutra will be dealing with them elaborately, not to encourage us to develop those powers, just to warn us that in the process of Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, when our mind gets streamlined with our practice, it gets sharp, lots of supernatural power may simultaneously develop, we may just spontaneously develop. And most of us gets hoodwinked by them, lured by them, and we get sidetracked. We forget our goal and we get just sidetracked. To stop us from getting deviated, distracted from our goal, it will deal elaborately with all those supernatural powers that may just simply manifest in your psyche. Don't get hoodwinked by them, lured by them. And that way, you take just the goal, just what's the milestone to be the ultimate goal. They are just the milestones. They show that you are progressing, but they're not the goal. So just to warn us, these powers will be dealt with elaborately. So first, let us try to understand what this Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi exactly mean. So now after Pratyahara, when my mind has already calmed down, now I take any particular space either in my body or some object outside for fixing my mind. Swami Vivekananda says, all the knowledge comes only through concentration. The key to knowledge is concentration. So this concentration, the practice of concentration starts with dharana. Now, after that, in the second, that you are trying to fixing your mind on a particular object is dharana. Now, many will be confusing. Then what's the difference between dharana and dhyanam? The dhyanam has been defined in the second sutra of the third chapter. Tatra means after practicing dharana. Tatra pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. That after you have practiced dharana, the continuous flow of similar mental modifications is dhyana. The dharana also has actually the same thing. When I'm fixing my mind on a particular object, each and every thought waves will be of that object only. The pratyaya, the content of each and every thought wave will be the object on which I'm concentrating. And dhyana is also the same thing. Then what actually is the difference between dharana and dhyana? Now, this we have to understand clearly, and then only we can understand samadhi, the ultimate limb of yoga. That when my mind is calm and I've started focusing, most probably to a certain extent, I will be successful in focusing my mind on an object. But that focus will be of low frequency. Means our mind is like a wave. Each and every thought wave is rising, it falls, another thought wave rise. That's how. It's not analogous. It is something digital. A thought wave rises, falls, another thought wave rises, falls. That's how the mind is working. We find that there's a continuation of thought because the thought waves are so of high frequency. Though they're just in our TV, it's all dots, but the dots are projected in the screen so fast that it gives a sense of continuity. I see the pictures, but actually it is all dots. In a very high resolution picture, you take a magnifying glass and see, it's nothing. It's but all dots. It's not that someone has caged with a pen. It is all dots, which are placed so closely that it gives that the sense of a continuing picture. So in dharana, your thought wave of a particular object of meditation, with a particular object of meditation, a thought wave is rising, it's falling, again it's rising, it's falling. At the beginning, the frequency is quite less. As I am not an adept in meditation, this frequency is quite less. So dhyana is nothing but the qualitative improvement of dharana. Now the frequency goes on increasing. The thought waves which are rising to give you, it can be so intense that you can even have a visualization. To give an example, suppose you are meditating on a particular form. Those who meditate on a form, at the beginning, you will be assured of the fact that it is just a mere imagination. When your meditation becomes intense, still it's imagination, but you will start feeling it's real because the intensity has increased so much that now it becomes something like a very vivid visualization, giving you a sensation that as if I am seeing it. So in a picture, just to give an example, if the resolution is low, you can see the dots. DPI, the resolution is defined as DPI, dots per inch. If the dots per inch, the resolution is low, you will find the picture is fade. The dots can be seen. If resolution is high, the dots are so close to each other. The number of dots per inch is much higher. The resolution is much higher. Then it gives a sense of continuation. So dhyana is that meditation with higher frequency of the same thought waves. The same thought waves, the focus which you have created with dharana, with practice, it becomes more qualitatively higher, so that as if the frequency of the thought waves have intensified, giving it a sense of flow. You will find that when the dots are apart, you easily find out that the picture is actually made by dots. It can be seen. But when the dots are very close, the resolution is very high. It gives a sense of continuation. No more you see the dots. You see the picture as a whole. That's why we say the higher the resolution, the better is the quality of the picture. So when the dots are very close, it gives a sense of ekatanata, a flow. The dots are no more visible. So in dhyana also, that ekatanata, that flow ensues. When the quality of dharana has improved, just the way that the DPI that gets higher, the picture becomes vivid. So dhyana is actually speaking of as if higher DPI in your meditation. The thought waves are now, the same thought waves are having higher frequency. Your intensity of focus have increased. So tatra pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. Ekatanata. This is the same pratyaya. Tatra, the pratyaya. Pratyaya means the content of the wave. Now, when I am suppose meditating on a flower, these two things we should understand. One is vritti and another is pratyaya. These two are not same. Even when I'm not thinking, even when I'm in deep sleep, that yoga, even thousands of years back, understood this fact that the mind is always active. Even in deep sleep, vrittis are there. Vrittis can stop only in asampragyata samadhi, which renders you kaivalya, which renders you liberation. Only there the vrittis stop. That's why we have defined at the very beginning of the yoga, the second sutra of the very first chapter was yoga chitta vritti nirodha. To stop those vrittis. They are not stopped even when you are in deep sleep. In deep sleep, what happens? The definition of sleep, very nicely, it was there in the first chapter. What's the definition of sleep, deep sleep? This abhava pratyaya alambana vritti nidra. Abhava pratyaya alambana vritti nidra. It's very interesting. This vritti, which is having abhava pratyaya, having no contents. These vrittis are rising, but they don't have content. When I'm looking at, say, the flower is as if getting reflected in the thought wave. So the content of the thought wave is the flower. And that makes me see the flower. Oh, whatever is reflected in the thought wave, that's what I perceive. I see that is a flower. Or even when I'm trying to imagine the flower, though I'm not seeing, I have created that flower with my imagination. So the content of the thought wave is again the same flower. And if I can continue to think that flower again and again with each and every thought wave without allowing the mind to get distracted into other thoughts, then you are having a dharana of that flower. But at the very beginning, it's a mere imagination. It's not very intense. Now, when that intensity increases with the practice of meditation, so now the flower which you're imagining becomes as vivid as seeing. The visualization becomes as vivid as seeing. That's what speaks of ekatanata. Your meditation has reached a state of flow where other distractions are falling off more and more. So tatra pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. So that's what has been defined as the dhyana. So dharana, the difference between dharana and dhyana is actually of the quality, but it is both of the same nature. It is a qualitative difference which differentiates dharana from dhyana. After that, what is spoken of is samadhi. This dhyana, when still it intensifies, it has already entered into a state of flow. The state of flow, even in the modern psychology, they speak of flow psychology. You will see these words are so similar. In the flow psychology, they use the word flow, which means ekatanata. Ekatanata is when there is a flow, there is a continuation. How it happens in our day-to-day life. So when I'm talking to you, though my mind is focused to what I'm talking, you will find if someone calls me, I can hear. Why I can hear? Because only a small part of my mind is required to keep the focus on what I'm talking to you. The remaining mind is free. It can take care of other activities. So though the dharana is there, what's the dharana? That my mind is focused, but still, as it doesn't require very high focus to continue with the conversation, my mind is sufficiently free to take care of other activities. Now, when I am watching TV, my most favorite game is going on, which I'm very passionate about. Someone calls, I don't hear. What has happened? My mind is, the more the focus, the more that each and every part or each and every wave is engaged with the focus. There is no chance that other things can enter your mind. So what happens? Even if someone calls, the sound is entering your ear, but it cannot get connected with the mind. The mind is the ears are open. It's not plugged. It's open. Someone is calling. The sound which has entered the ears somehow cannot get connected with the mind, because the mind, the entire mind has been taken away by the object of your focus. So now it is something like dhyana. So when that happens, what happens? You gradually enter into a flow. To understand flow, it's very easy. Suppose you have started learning some musical instrument. At the beginning, you need concentration, you need focus. But at the beginning, as you have not developed the skills, your skills are much lesser than the challenge. The challenge is much higher, the skills are lower. So what happens? Though you're focused, you find that with your will, you have to keep the mind focused and develop the skill. So the dharana has developed, but not it has entered the state of dhyana. The flow has not entered. After practicing, after some time, what happens? Your skill develops and meets the challenge. The skills have met the challenge. Now one thing will happen. You need not have to be conscious of what you are playing. Your hand will be just flowing on the strings or on the reeds, whatever it may be, spontaneously. And your mind has got totally focused on it. There is no effort required. A classical singer, a painter, and all that. It's just the skills has developed to so much that it meets the challenge, and a tremendous concentration ensues, flow ensues. There's a tremendous happiness out of it because all the distractions has fallen off. Even the bodily feelings fall off. A musician may be singing for hours without feeling tired, without feeling thirsty, without feeling hunger. Why? As the mind has entered into that flow, that focus has taken away all the mind. The other thing starts falling off. And there is no effort. It just flows. That's why the word flow has been used in the flow psychology. And that's what is meant by ekatanata. Ekatanata also means flow. So in dhyana that has happened. When it intensifies, that will lead to samadhi. What is samadhi? When still the focus is more intensified. At last it will end up in samadhi. So what's the definition of samadhi? The third sutra of the third chapter defines what is samadhi. Tat eva artha matra nirbhasam swarupa shunyam iva samadhi. Each and every word is very important. Tat eva. So when you have reached the state of dhyana, that's the tat eva. Artha matra nirbhasam. Then when your dhyana gets ripened, at last what happens? Artha matra nirbhasam. The moment your mind is fully focused, then the real meaning reveals. We will come to the discussion. The real meaning of the thing, artha matram, what the thing actually is, that gets revealed with the focus. And swarupa shunyam, all the reflective thought, they fall off. Swarupa shunya means all our subjective thoughts, ideas, they fall off. And that is samadhi. We'll very easily understand if we take some example. Samadhi is not only through meditation you're having, even when you're taking your food. A time when I have to be focused to really find out its taste. My mind should be focused, everything should fall off, and then only the taste gets revealed. To give an example, that when I have not tasted the mango, someone told that it is sweet, it has a nice flavor, and I have some mental cogitation about it. I just thought about it, I cogitated upon it, and I had an idea, oh, I know what the taste of mango is. I know it's sweet, it's flavor. So many things are sweet, so many things are flavor. Mango also has some sweetness, has some flavor. It's like some other things only. Whatever knowledge I have of the past knowledge, with that I try to relate the taste of mango, and I somehow have the idea, I know it. But it's just an idea. It's just a thought. The moment you're tasting the mango, if you're tasting the mango, you're talking to others, you won't realize the taste. It happens sometimes. And then the food we are taking, if my mind is distracted, even if there is no salt, I will not realize. Why? Because mind was not focused. If the mind is focused, so then all your conceptions will fall off. Arthamata, the real taste will come out. And then what will happen? All your past notions about the taste of mango, which you thought I knew, that will fall off. Swarupa Shunya, that will fall off. And the Arthamatra, the real meaning will come out. You will understand, oh, I thought I knew the taste of mango. Everyone told it is sweet. It has a nice flavor. I thought I have understood. The moment I taste, and then I find that all those conceptions which I've developed about the taste of mango is useless. They fall off, and I know the real taste, the Arthamatra Nirbhasam. And that is Samadhi. It happens for each and from the lowest pursuits of our life, when I am just perceiving something. From that, I have to be focused to get the knowledge. If the flower is red, I'm seeing something red, my mind should be focused. Then only I get the knowledge. So each and every moment, Samadhi is happening in our lower pursuits. But when I am focusing my mind on the mind itself, that takes to the highest Samadhi, highest form of Samadhi. So in that also the same theory applies. Swarupa Shunyamiva Arthamatra Nirvasa. How? At present, I was reading the scriptures by listening to various spiritual discourses. I have a feeling I know what Atman is. It's a conscious principle, the witness self. I have understood. I know what it is. This is again that is your mere mental conception. It's a reflective thought. The real, when you are cogitating on that aham brahmasmi, with a feeling that I know what Brahman is. With that you're cogitating. With this cogitation takes you to a very intense thought, then suddenly you will find that all those reflective thoughts falls off, and this thought will take you to the realization where Arthamata, the real meaning, will be revealed. So you will find that this actually, from the lowest, our day-to-day perception, to the highest spiritual evolution, this Samadhi actually defines that the focus, when gets intensified, leads to that ultimate knowledge. The same idea of Samadhi we find in Vedanta, where they called it as Triputi Bheda, that which has been defined as Arthamatra Nirbhasam Sarupa Shunyamivam. In Vedanta philosophy, it is spoken of as Triputi Bheda. What is Triputi Bheda? When I am meditating, there is a very clear distinction of three aspects of meditation. What are they? Dhyana, Dhyata, and Dhyaya. Dhyana, the process of meditation. Dhyata, the one who is meditating. And Dhyaya, the object of meditation. That when I am meditating, how intense may be my meditation, I am aware that I am meditating on such and such thing, and it is the process of meditation which connects the object of meditation with the meditator. They say, Triputi Bhedin Samadhi, this triad falls off, collapses. How it happens? You can understand with the same flow psychology, that when my mind is getting more and more focused, it is that each and every thought is becoming more and more intense without any gap. There is no chance for any other thought or any other sensation or any other feeling to creep in. The entire mind is as if taken away by my object of meditation. So first what happens? External distraction stops. Then what happens? You start feeling your videha. That as if you have no body. Because what gives us the sensation of body? Our hunger, our thirst, our tiredness, all those things give us the sensation of body. So a part of my mind is required to take care of all those biological alarms. They also start fall off because the mind is taken away by your object of concentration. You become, though you are in the body, as if you are not in the body. In meditation, we find that the one who is meditating, the more the intense the meditation, the more he becomes inert. It's not that he is forcing himself to be motionless. He really becomes inert because all the bodily sensations have stopped. The entire mind has been taken away by the object of meditation. It is intense dhyana, but still samadhi has not happened till the triad collapses. What? Even in that intense meditation, the sensation is there, I am meditating. So the ego is the last bit of this cogitation that has to be taken away. That my mind is constantly processing so many things. Ego is the last bit that remains. That's the mind is processing. If my meditation, object of meditation becomes very intense, that I is also constantly, that I can never forget that I am. Even if I stop my thoughts, that I am is constantly emanating. That is the basal, the basic, the part of my mind. That is taken away when your mind becomes more and more concentrated. When that I am meditating, that this falls off, or any conceptual knowledge falls off, entire mind has been taken away your object of meditation, then they say you become identified with your object of meditation. That I am meditating on such and such thing, this idea falls off. You become as if one with your object of meditation. You get identified. All your bodily feelings has fallen off. You now get identified with the object of meditation, and then the revelation happens. Arthamatra nirvasa, swarupa shunyam eva. All the concepts fall off. To understand more through a psychological point of view, when suppose you take that meditation in which you are thinking of your swarupa, I am the Atman, I am the Brahman. What happens? This thought, this mental thought is something which is hammering your ego. Why? Ego is something which speaks of your identity with this limited body-mind complex. Ego is like the hub of a will where all your desires, all your anger, all your hatred, everything is linked to that hub of that will, ego. That I am this limited body. Even to understand ego, you will understand that if you take a small microbe, The small microbe where the conscious principle has got identified with that microbe body, immediately you will find that asmita has arisen, the ego has arisen. How? If there is some nutrient, it will be drawn towards it, raga. If there is some poison, it will be running away from it, repelling, dvesha, fear, abhinivesha. It wants to remain identified with that microbe body. So all these raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, all these kleshas, afflictions comes because of that ego. So our mind, this asmita, is linked to so many mental modules, each having a particular stimuli response conditioning. Oh, the pizza, this is a nice thing. I get drawn towards it. Oh, this is something toxin. I get repelled by it. Or such and such person can be harmful towards me. I get withdrawn from him. There is a fight and flight response working. So all these various responses constitute various mental modules. Now, when you are meditating Aham Brahmasmi, you are hammering constantly on the ego, that this ego with which all these mental modules are linked. What is that ego? That I am this limited body. So when you say I am Aham Brahmasmi, that I am not this limited. I am the all-pervading conscious principle. With this, you are as if negating the ego itself, with which all other mental modules are connected. So in a will, if I try to get rid of a single spike, the will is still intact, because with the hub, other spikes are all connected. So that's why in our life, when we try to get rid of one desire, there are so many innumerable desires which keeps my personality intact. That way I can never get rid of the so-called our limited individuality. The only way in long run is to get rid of the hub. If I can just pull out the hub, all the spikes fall. The will collapses all at once. So that happens that when you are meditating with the idea, Aham Brahmasmi, at first, this idea that I am Brahman is a conceptual knowledge. It is just a concept, nothing else. It is not a realization. But by hammering that ego, a time comes with that intense meditation when that ego is also taken away. The meditation becomes so focused, ego has fallen off. And now the entire mind with all its texture falls off at a time. Then what happens? As long as the mind is there, beyond the mind, consciousness like white light is there, it is breaking into the spectrum of name and form. The white light falls on the prism, brings it to the 7 colors. Similarly, the mind in association with the conscious principle is constantly breaking up into the spectrum of this world of name and form. The moment the mind falls off for the time being, the ego has been taken away by the intense meditation. It falls off. Immediately that your real self is something which is revealed, because it is not finding expression through the prism to break into spectrum. Till now I was deluded by the spectrum. The spectrum falls off. And suddenly I realize this is just a mere projection. I am that conscious principle. Nothing is there to project it. Then no more the mind is there to project it as this phenomenal existence. And that takes you to that artha matra nirbhasa. Then you realize what you are. That's no more a concept. That's the realization. So this is the highest samadhi which has been spoken of in the yoga. So you now will understand that it can be on small objects which will give you supernatural power. But what's the idea that at the very beginning, I may find it so difficult to focus on the idea that Aham Brahmasmi. Okay, you may take any other thing, that I just take my heart center and I just meditate on it. From that, some type of result will ensue. That is not my goal. But by that, what has happened? I have developed the faculty of focusing. Now I divert. Now, once you have developed, now you divert it to the spiritual concept. That will take you to the realization. That's why it has been told that if you are good in studies, for you, the Dharana, Samadhi is more easy because you have already learned the art of focusing. In our order, in Ramakrishna order at the very beginning, at the time when it was, at the time of inception, when the brahmacharis were joining, Swami Premananda was the one who was the manager of the mutt. He used to take care. He used to train all the young brahmacharyas, take care of them. Every day morning, still the practice is there. These novices, the young brahmacharyas, have to go to the kitchen, the community kitchen. Every day there are hundreds who will be fed. So you need a lot of vegetable to be just dressed, peeled. Premananda will sit and just observe how these novices are peeling the vegetable. And just by seeing how nicely they're peeling, without cutting anything extra, without just even removing the pulp, just nicely they have removed the peel, he would declare who has better meditation. Because he has learned the art of focusing. That shows that he can also meditate nicely. So at the beginning, that these concepts may be too abstract for me. Okay, well, even peeling of vegetable is okay for you. That's why even Ramakrishna used to say, the one who is a good cook is the one who can meditate nicely. He used to say, like, why? Because there also your focus is required. Tremendous focus is required. And that focus now, when you just divert to any spiritual concept, it can take you to the very higher rungs of spiritual evolution. So that's the thing which has been indicated in this definition. That's what is Samadhi. Now these three together, the fourth sutra will speak of another concept called Samyama. What is that? Trayam ekatra Samyama. This Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi together is called Samyama. Now you will say, why? What's the need of again just coining a term called Samyama? Because this Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi is a set which can be used for meditating on so many things. It can be on the various parts of your body. It can be on something outside. It can be on some abstract spiritual idea. So each of these sets for which I am practicing Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi is each of them is separate samyamas. So that's why this word samyama has been used. This will be used again and again when we will be discussing the supernatural powers which develops by having samyama on various objects, whether it's within the body or it may be celestial objects or it may be something outside in the phenomenal existence. So there can be so many samyamas. So each samyama is a set of a particular dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So that's why the word samyama has been coined, that there may be many samyamas. Trayam ekatra samyama. Tat jayat pragyaloka. The fifth sutra. So by practice, by mastering tat jayat, by mastering samyama, means dharana, dhyana, samadhi, when you have mastered on whatever you are meditating, that alone is that alone is the key to knowledge. Pragya loka. Pragya means the light of knowledge. So without concentration, there cannot be any knowledge. The key to any knowledge is concentration. This dharana, dhyana, samadhi. The more we are focused, the more we can learn. In a classroom, the student who is more focused, he can learn more. When we are studying, the more the mind is focused, the more I can learn. It is a distraction alone which actually differentiates between one student and the other. Some students will say, I cannot concentrate my mind. My mind gets easily distracted. So you cannot have samyama, the knowledge, the pragya cannot dawn in. So that's why Swami Vivekananda used to say that the key to knowledge is concentration. If I have to again start my education, then instead of going headlong to gather information, gather facts, I would first develop the faculty of concentration. Once you have that, anything you focus, the knowledge comes just in abundance, the knowledge will flow in. And we find in the life of Swami Vivekananda that just by reading once, all the knowledge was acquired because he had the tremendous focus, concentration. The key to all knowledge is that concentration. And that's what we were saying, that even while I'm tasting food, if I'm talking to, that's why it has been always in our tradition that when you are taking food, don't talk. For two things. One is the food may go to this windpipe if you are talking, and that can be even fatal. That's one thing. And another thing, that food won't nourish you. Unless you are focused on the food, its taste, the entire your body is as if concentrating on the food, its digestion, its assimilation. It, while talking, the talk may develop into some agitation, some anger, some discussions may lead to, political discussions may lead to anger, and my energy is getting dissipated in all the things which was actually required for my digestion, for my assimilation, for testing the thing, that gets totally dissipated. That's why we find that when you're distracted, sometimes we even don't realize the taste of the food. Even to taste food, we need focus. What to speak of the higher pursuits. So concentration alone is the key to knowledge. And that's what is being indicated in the fifth sutra by saying that what? Tat jayat. That when you just take these three sets at a time, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, and focus it on anything. And once you get adept in it, then the knowledge ensures. It just, the world will, anything will just give out its knowledge, give out its light the moment you know how to focus it. Swami Vivekananda in some other place gives the example that what's the focus like? When the sunlight is falling on a paper, it doesn't affect the paper in any way. But now you take a magnifying glass. You take a magnifying glass and focus the sunlight on the paper. It burns. You will find it as that the fire has, it has lit by fire. The sunlight gets concentrated and gets focused on the paper and immediately it burns. So similarly, the knowledge, all the ignorance are burnt off. The knowledge gets revealed when I can focus my entire awareness on the thing on which I am meditating. The more you get the focus, the more the ignorance burns off, the more the knowledge is revealed. So tat jayat pragyaloka. That's the thing which has been spoken of in the fifth sutra. And then the sixth sutra speaks of that it should be practiced in stages. Tasya bhumishu prayoga. Bhumi. In step. If my mind is extremely distracted and I just take the resolution, I will meditate. In the very first day, it's not going to happen that I will just reach Samadhi. It has to go by states. What are the states? Sarvarthata, ekagrata, nirodha. This will be spoken of as we study. My mind is extremely distracted. If I try to focus, it's almost impossible. Why? That my resolution to concentrate is something is in my conscious mind. Whatever I'm thinking with my conscious mind, that is a very weak resolution. You know why? Because my mind is already having subconscious thoughts. How the mind works in two ways. Whatever I am thinking, how the mind gets disturbed, it gets disturbed in two ways. Through all the conscious thoughts which I'm thinking. As let us take that old example, that the mind is like a lake. All the conscious thoughts are like pelting stones on it, and the mind gets disturbed. The mind gets disturbed in another way. Sometimes we find that from the bottom of the lake, the bubbles are coming up, and that comes to the surface and bursts. The bubble bursts, and again the surface of the lake gets disturbed. The surface of the lake is your conscious mind, and all the bubbles which are emanating from the bottom is the subconscious mind. So the mind is getting disturbed by the pebbles from outside, by all my conscious thoughts, perceptions, conscious resolutions, conscious imaginations, conscious cogitation, all those things, it is getting disturbed. And again, from the subconscious minds, what is coming, that is also disturbing my mind. Now, how those, that's the bubbles are coming from the, what is the bottom of the lake? That all the subconscious bubbles actually are something which at some time, today or yesterday or in years before, I have thought consciously. Nothing can go to your subconscious unless you have thought consciously. Each and every conscious thought, apart from disturbing the mind, is going deep into your psyche and is remaining there as a subconscious thought to again erupt and disturb your mind. So all the thoughts which I have thought previously, they are in my subconscious mind. Till now, I was quite okay with it. All those distractions, sarvarthata, the distractions, that's what kept me busy with my life. Now I take the resolution of spiritual life for meditation. Now it's like the resolution to meditate is just a conscious attempt to meditate. But this is very weak. The subconscious mind is very strong with all the distractions. They will come and throw away your concentration. Now you may say, then there is no way out. Then what's the use of meditation? We should again remember the key. What's the key? That each and every conscious thought, apart from disturbing the mind, is going down to the subconscious mind to remain there as samskara. So though this conscious attempt to concentrate my mind is very weak, it is failing because of the distraction, but at the same time, each and every attempt is creating new samskara. I have to keep my mind concentrated. It's creating a new samskara that is going and now gradually saturating your subconscious mind. A time will come, this ekagra vritti, though it has failed again and again, but it is gradually saturating your subconscious mind. A time will come, your subconscious mind now will be saturated with this ekagra vritti, and it will just purge off all the sarvarthata, all those distractions. And then the natural state of mind will become ekagra. The example which we have given again and again is that your mind is just like a cup full of impurities, full of turgid contents. Now what you do, it is filled to the brim. You start pouring pure water into the cup. Now as the cup is filled to the brim with the turgid contents, it will start spilling off. As it spills off, all the turgidity will be diluted. Turgidity will be reducing, it will be diluted. A time will come, all the turgid contents has been spilled out from the cup, and the cup is full of pure water. So it's a matter of time. So our dhyana is like that. I'm trying to fill the cup with ekavritti, the pure thought. The turgid contents are there. It will take time to purge off. But a time will come when the natural state of mind which was distracted now gets transformed into ekagra. That I will find if I was trying to do japa morning and evening, now I will find that my mantra is subconsciously I'm repeating it. It has become spontaneous. How? The ekagra vritti has now started saturating your mind. So it's a matter of time. So I have to be very patient. That's why Swami Vivekananda used to say that for all spiritual evolution, what is required is 3P: purity, patience, perseverance. Purity, your each and every attempt to keep your mind in that ekagra vritti, in that sublime thought, is the purity. It won't happen immediately because your subconscious mind is already full of distractions. So you have to have patience. And at the same time, you have to be practicing. That patience is not something that when it will happen, it will happen. I have to persevere again and again. With repeated failure, again I try. I fail, again I try. And then wait for the time. So what will happen? This purity with patience and perseverance, at last, you will find your mind, natural state has become ekagra. So you have to do it gradually. And once you are becoming ekagra, that's not the last. That will take you to the samadhi. And from samadhi, it will take you to the asampragyata samadhi. What is that? We will come to a discussion gradually, which alone speaks of your ultimate liberation. This asampragyata samadhi, where all the thoughts cease to exist, even the vrittis fall off. How it happens, we will discuss gradually. So these all happens in stages. That today I have taken the resolution that with meditation, I will have to have a spiritual evolution. It's not like an instant coffee, just you put and the coffee is ready. No, it's not like that. It has to evolve gradually. That's why Swamiji used to say, all the spiritual growth is not like the torrential rain. When there is a torrential rain, I see the rain is falling, the ground is getting drenched, the lawn is getting drenched. He used to say it is like the falling of the dew drops. I have never seen when it has fallen. I just walk on the ground, I see it is drenched. When they have fallen, I have not perceived. So all the spiritual transformation is like that. It's very gradual. Then another example which we give, a coarse rock on the bed of the river. At any point of time, you find nothing, no change is visible. The water is flowing over it. It is the same coarse rock. But in hundreds of years, that coarse rock becomes smooth. So they are just like the Shivalinga. Totally, all the angularities have been dissolved. At any point of time, no change was visible. But it was happening. Imperceptibly, it was happening. So you need patience, you need perseverance. The practice should go on. That's what we indicated by Tasya Bhumishu Vinyoga. It happens in stages. We shouldn't be impatient about it. We should have that sufficient patience to just wait and see. And not just wait and see. That patience also should be tagged with perseverance. I should continue with my practice on and on. Even if I fail, again I try. I don't brood over my weakness, that, oh, I have failed, what will happen to me? Just forget about it. Let the dead bury the dead. Let all the misgivings, I forget. Let the dead bury the dead. That's Swamiji. These are the words Swami used to use in his lectures. Let the dead bury the dead. There is no use in just harping over what has happened. Try again, again, again. In life, we have learned nothing in one go. When the small child starts walking, so many times it falls. Gradually starts walking. When we have learned cycling, when we have learned swimming, it was all gradual process. Somehow, I don't know why, most probably it is because of the advertisements of the so-called all spiritual gurus that come to me and I will give you a samadhi in a flash. So that makes us so impatient. It is also has to be a graduate process. It cannot happen in a flash. All those are just sheer nonsense. It's a way to earn money. It doesn't speak of real benevolence being showered to the humanity. The real spiritual guru will never say that come and in 1 week or in 3 days, I will give you samadhi. Those are all bogus. It can never happen. You have to have patience, perseverance. And yes, it can happen in a day or two. That also was spoken of. Tivra sangveganavasana. If the more is the intensity, the urge, if you have tremendous urge, it can happen in a very short time. So that's very important. So the only thing which speaks of the acceleration of your progress is how intense is the desire to get liberation. Do you feel you are in a burning pyre? The one who is in burning pyre will immediately run away from it. If I feel that the earth is a burning pyre, how can I stay on it? That will give me that tremendous urge to get liberation. We are somehow quite happy with it. That urge is not there. And that's why our progress is slow. But we need not bother. Let us adopt to the practice, know it for certain, gradually, step by step, the intensity will increase, taking you to the ultimate liberation. So this is the 6th sutra which has been spoken of. We will continue with our discussion again in the next class from the succeeding sutras, the 7th and the remaining sutras. So thank you all and namaskar. With this, we conclude our discussion today.